there is a value associated to all the digital assets, being now NFTs, and that could create a whole new digital economy.
Hi, this is Steffy, and welcome to the FinancialFox, investing and innovation ideas with a twist. Today is going to be a very cool episode because I'm going to explain to you, but also learn more myself about the Metaverse. So maybe you have heard or you are familiar with Second Life, the virtual world of Web 2.0. But in the Web 3.0, where we are now, decentralized metaverses are taking over. So what is a metaverse? For what I understand, it is a virtual world where you, or I'll better say your avatar, can play, create, share, and earn. And yes, that sounds a little bit crazy. I mean, it does sound to me, but it is happening. And this is why in this episode, I will go deeper into what this alternative universe looks like. And I couldn't think of a better guest than Sebastien Borget, a serial entrepreneur and co-founder and CEO of the Sandbox, a virtual world made by players. So fasten your seatbelts and let's go for a ride in the Metaverse. But before we go into, I want to talk about our sponsors, Prime XBT. Prime XBT is an award-winning platform that allows you to trade global financial market using Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoins, and many more. They offer traders one of the best user experience. You can trade 50 plus assets at low fee. And the best part is that you can also follow successful traders and professional strategy managers, automatically copying their strategy and achieving the same returns. So when they execute something, your portfolio executes it as well. So let the top traders do the job for you with Prime XBT. For FinancialFox viewers, they prepare a special 50% bonus on deposit, and you can find more information in the description. So let's get into the episode. Hi, Sebastien, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Listen, it is great to have you on the show. And it's so exciting because we are going to talk about the Metaverse, which, many of our listeners maybe have heard, but, they maybe don't know very well what actually means. So if we start with that, and then we can go a little bit in details of what is Sandbox and what you can actually do within that virtual world. So if we start with the basic question, what is the Metaverse?
Well, if you stick to what Sci-Fi has been proposing or pushing as a vision of the Metaverse in the mainstream, essentially through movies like Ready Player One or through the book Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, it's a set of digital parallel universes where us could live all sorts of multiple experiences through an avatar that could be a 3D representation of ourselves. Now, taking from that concept, the Metaverse is really making sense in Web3 and fully decentralized virtual worlds where with a 3D avatar that represents your identity, that identity could be decentralized. You could own it as your NFT, both visually and through the content and NFTs you own. You can use that avatar and enter one or multiple virtual worlds and into them explore all sorts of experience, which could be video games, virtual concerts, art galleries, museums, virtual shows, fashion shows, and many more things. And into that metaverse, decentralized one, the vision that the Sandbox is part of and we are pushing through, there is an idea that there is a value associated to all the digital assets, being now NFTs. And through the value of those NFTs, and you can have services, jobs that are born from there, and that could create a whole new digital economy based on those services. And you can have people who become like architects of the virtual world, artists who are going to produce a lot of the content that will populate those virtual worlds. creators who will make the games and all sorts of experiences users will interact with, fashion designer who are going to basically customize, make very unique wearables and looks for your avatars, and other jobs, curators, community managers, virtual shows creators, and so more. All of those profile participating to growing the time we are going to spend online into this virtual world and how we are going to socialize and interact with others.
Sebastien, that was a great explanation. And what maybe I think it will be useful for everybody listening, how the metaverse of today is different from, let's say, virtual Second Life and any kind of other virtual world of the Web 2.0.
That's a great question. And it's true, like the metaverse itself, it's not something new. Like you look at Second Life, which is a 17 years old virtual world, there are already a lot of those premises, like online businesses could have present, they have land that you can rent, they have avatars where you can make social events, but all of that is very centralized. It's a closed environment controlled by one single company. And users are locked in, basically, like the belongings, all the virtual goods or digital assets that are produced, created into those virtual worlds, they are only sold and usable inside that one. The currency that runs that virtual world cannot be transferred outside, exchanged. So if you leave the world, you basically lose all your data, all your currency, all your belonging. And there are still many centralized virtual worlds and metaverses like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, Facebook Horizons, many other they have large audiences. They also propose a vision where we could do all those experiences, but they are not embracing the idea of being open economies where users are at the center. They are community driven and users can take ownership into the asset, the identity, and be their own bank. So in a position now you have like decentralized virtual worlds, Decentraland, CryptoVoxel, Somnium Space, and of course the Sandbox, where we are taking a more like really open, community-driven approach. We make sure that our interests are aligned with the interests of the community and everyone who participates into the virtual world, the centralized virtual world, actually contributes to grow the value, to grow the adoption, and hence receive a portion of the value they create into that virtual world for themselves.
So before we go into Sandbox more in details, what I would like to understand is, so let's say that I have an avatar and I'm entering the Sandbox and I bought a great NFTs, which is my dress or my handbags, and I want to bring it into the metaverse, into Sandbox. Can I do that? So when you were talking about interoperability, open system, you meant that basically the NFTs, the assets that you own outside the Sandbox or the central lands can be brought in and used, and you can monetize on those assets within the metaverse. Is that correct?
That's correct. Like you could buy a virtual bags that could be an equipment, could go with your avatar into Sandbox, but could be also used because then it's interoperable as an NFT, could be used across other virtual world. And other virtual world could decide to give it another aspect, like visual representation or another utility. This word that I use in Sandbox could become a car into another virtual world. I can buy once that item and use it across many virtual worlds. That's also something quite important, specifically related to the idea of like avatar identity. I don't need to create multiple personas anymore. I could if I want, but I can also keep my same persona across all those different virtual worlds. And hence, that is this concept that really the metaverse is never going to be one single place, one single virtual world, even if it has a big audience, but it could be a multiplicities, and I could choose what sort of experience I want to live some into them. Like some will be more specialized into virtual events, art galleries, AR and VR, or gaming like us.
So now this is a kind of a question that just comes to me. So what's the ethics behind the metaverse? Because, we mentioned about bringing in a handbag, which is fine, or bringing in, a piece of art is okay. But what about bringing in a weapon? I mean, but I believe there is an element, obviously, of games in Sandbox. But would you be able to kill somebody with a weapon? Or how that can really work? Because if a metaverse it becomes like a parallel world, basically, where ourselves or our avatars are living in, you don't want to let everybody, shooting himself of killing each other. How do you address this point?
So I think those are still virtual experiences where us as creators, we can define what you get to experience. So in virtual games, if you play Fortnite, if you play Counter-Strike, we just fight in PvP manner. We can also do player versus enemy, like PvE, where we collaborate together as users against a single enemy. And that's, I think, why what we haven't seen so much yet, and what Sandbox is pushing, is what does it mean to be a gaming metaverse? It means that we are bringing gameplay, we're bringing elements that allow us to create more interactive experiences. You're right, in art, you just come, you contemplate it, and that's it. Or here the idea is the NFT, it can be a weapon, like you described, let's say a sword or a gun. It has a utility. That utility is, as a player, I can use that to fight against enemies and to kill those enemies or kill other players. I virtually kill them. I don't kill the real avatar forever. It's just part of gameplay, like we've been playing traditionally, but it adds a strong component behind that. It's interactive. I can have a progression, I can have quests, victory condition, and so on. I don't necessarily need to be only killing game or shooter. We have RPG, adventure, platformer, puzzle, narrative game, exploratory game. Our game jams shows the creativity behind of all creators. But now, as a player, I could essentially enter a game, use my sword, kill an enemy, and after 1 hour of playtime, receive some rewards.
Yes.
Those rewards, they will be token, they will be NFTs. And as such, they hold value that I can just keep in my wallet, or I could decide to sell. And that means that if I sell those, I make a revenue stream out of my playtime. I could earn another sword that, let's say it's worth $100. So after 1 hour of playing, I earn $100, just made $100 an hour through playing. And that's play to earn, basically. That's something really new that I think is a major disruption versus the existing business model in video games. And you can apply that, of course, to weapons, equipment, but not necessarily only that. All sorts of game elements could influence the gameplay and could be valuable to some users. You could have farming game, where if I buy some fertilizer, it will grow twice faster my resource, which I collect, and then I can sell again to someone else. Someone else needs that resource himself to, improve or upgrade an equipment to the game, creating various economy loops into all those games.
Okay, so let's come to the Sandbox now. What is Sandbox? If you can give a quick description and explanation of what it is, and also how you started and why.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so Sandbox, it's a gaming virtual world where users and creators can make 3D assets and game experience and monetize them through the use of non-fungible tokens and send the main utility token of our platform. So we offer, as a platform, we offer several creation tools, which include VoxEdit, a 3D editor. That's our NFT maker. Marketplace, where you can upload those NFTs and start trading, selling them. A game maker that allows anyone to create games using the NFTs you bought or you made with VoxEdit without a single line of code. So no programming knowledge is required to start playing with your NFTs and interacting with them. All those tools are already available in beta on our website. We also, as a virtual world, we have a map. That map includes 464 lands in total. We've sold about 50% of them since December 2019 in various land pre-sale. And it's been major success as well. Like, people understand lands as NFTs because lands, think of it like virtual real estate. Basically, they are going to be the digital places where you can publish your game experiences. Hence, anyone can access them into the sandbox. You can rent it to other creators. So it's almost like real estate, developing the content and monetizing it. And once you buy a land, you become a stakeholder in the success of Sandbox platform. You're also going to promote your game, bring new users, participate into the economy by hiring artists and creators. So your interests are also aligned with the Sandbox platform and success. That's, I think, the overall vision and how we came to it. So Sandbox started as a mobile game over 9 years ago. We simple 2D game where users could create pixelated world just by the touch of their finger on an iOS, iPhone, or Android device. We always had that vision that we wanted to turn players into creators, and it turned into a large success. We had more than 40 million installs. Those users made more than 70 million creation online. Creation that contributed to the success, like more creation made more users coming to play them and so on. And yet we felt something was missing. We were not able to reward those creators for the content they brought and the success brought to the game. So toward the end of 2017, when we saw the first CryptoKitties and CryptoPunks, actually, CryptoPunks turned out 4 years just yesterday. We decided to apply that technology, NFTs and user-generated content, to just allow anyone to make their own NFTs and from there be able to monetize their creations. And that's basically how the new version of Sandbox, this time 3D, multiplayer, multi-platform, came to birth. And we made it. We've been working on it for the past 3 years now.
Right. So you mentioned about land, which is a very interesting thing because, the Sandbox and also the Decentraland made headline with some really high prices for this virtual land, which is, crazy. In February, you recorded, I think, was a virtual land sale for worth roughly $2 million. And, this is really lots of money. So my question is, how do you measure the value of land in the metaverse?
Well, it's definitely land, as I mentioned, is something that people understand pretty easily as a concept, like how they can use land behind to monetize their content and create a successful business on top of it. The value of a land can depend on its size, its location, because something really unique in Sandbox is on your map, you can put a logo to reinforce the idea of ownership. Anyone can show a logo there, and we are the only one bringing many IPs and brands. We have Atari, Roller Coaster Tycoon, The Smurf, Care Bears, Deadmau5, Richie Houghton, many other brands to be announced. We reveal them progressively, and when people buy a land next to their brand, they become neighbor. Hey, I'm the neighbor of Deadmau5. I'm the new neighbor for the Peto. I'm the new neighbor for the Bored Ape, for Zrun, the Ash Mass, because today we have a land sale with those two partners. What does it mean to be a neighbor? It means like there's obviously more visibility. People can find you more easily on the map, but also when players will enter with their avatar, they walk by to the bordering land, they just enter yours. Like there is really this geographical proximity between the two. And in Sandbox, I think like we have three main advantages. Like first of all, we are the most decentralized virtual world. We have now more than 7 1,300 unique landowners, even though we didn't sell everything. So when governance will be in place, you can be sure that it will be a fair participation for all members. Secondly, the size of our lands are really large. Like one by one parcel is 100 meter by 100 meter by 100 meter. So I think it's something like 10 times bigger than comparison to other, which allows a lot of creativity or doesn't require you to buy a lot of lands to make great stuff. And finally, the price of a land is still very accessible. Like we sold at the same public price of 1,011 cents per land, which as of today represents about $200 roughly. So that still makes it one of the cheapest and most accessible lands into all the decentralized virtual world and the metaverse.
Okay, what about social interaction? You mentioned before that is something that you are working on, and I think I'm really interested in that because if the metaverse is going to be a parallel world for people avatar to actually have a life there, I think social interaction is very important. I mean, it will be challenging to introduce feelings, maybe, but I think there will be a level of kind of social interaction that can be emulated or can be also enhanced and make it different. What's your take on that, and how are you working towards implementing them in Sandbox?
That's definitely an interesting way. And for us, like we want to make sure like avatars really reflect your identity. So each avatar should be unique. You can customize it to the look and feel, how you want it. And we're even we will be introducing avatar NFTs that like each one of them being unique in the metaverse, and each one of them could also be interoperable with other virtual worlds. I think that's always essential. Something also like we're really keen to is to make sure that we're as open as possible, meaning like not only people can make NFTs in Sandbox and decide to use them with our game maker or into other dApps, but also we welcome and we enable other NFTs to be played and interacted with inside Sandbox. So if you own crypto art, if you own a 2D images avatar, we like with our NFT bridge to turn it into a 3D playable character into Sandbox. So imagine you buy a CryptoPunk, it's a 2D image, and we detect you own that CryptoPunk, and we give you a 3D version of that punk that can be played in Sandbox. Then suddenly the value of that punk increases. Like was used to be just an image, becomes something you can play, socialize, and interact with. I think that's a true vision of like metaverse. It's going to take us some time to build it, but we are advancing, and definitely we see like within the next 2 to 3 years, the overall big vision of Sandbox that we're building progressively will truly come to life.
Are you going to have also animals like pets?
That's a great idea. We think that, well, I like to say like, like dogs, pets, like we don't want to feel alone into the metaverse. So we want to socialize with other humans, but why not have our own pet companions and more? We want to have our own houses, customize the place we live in. So there will be interior architect, there will be exterior people doing like gardens, doing houses and building. Housing in general, I think it's a great concept. And so we like to make it possible into Sandbox as well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about rules and governance. You mentioned that Sandbox is going towards a full governance, full decentralized governance. So I would like you to explain on that. And then on the other side, what's the plan, or how are you building rules and ethics in the metaverse? So, like social rules, like things that you can do and things you can't do. Because I can't believe that, any avatar can do what they want, because that way it will just be sometimes it can be very bad. It can be very creative, but it can be very bad as well. So I will be interested to hear from you. How are you creating this kind of rules of living together?
That's fair. Actually, it's a very fair point to consider, and it's more of a social matter, an ethical matter, and it's not something we're creating ourselves. I do think there are existing people. Some people already wrote quite extensively about like the ethics of virtual worlds. Why I'm trying to think, like, if I take Ralph Koester, which is a very famous game designer, he also wrote like about the rules or the laws of virtual world, like what we should still do or not do as virtual avatar, what should be authorized or considered like non-acceptable. And I think it's really interesting way to continue exploring and think about in general, and see how we can implement those into Sandbox. We'll start with moderation. We'll start with following the traditional term of use and term of services that are on the platform and that can be found traditionally on user-generated content platform. But I do think like it's really a research topic where that will serve humanity in general, as we're going to spend more and more time online, and we have to reflect it, think of like what's acceptable to condone, to moderate. Should we put in place specific rules where avatars cannot play if they have broken one of those rules, and so on? That's definitely going to evolve into that direction for sure.
That's a good point, because if you are ill or you are broken or you are injured, you shouldn't do some things. But also, let's say there's another player is bringing in a beautiful painting, and with my avatar, I'm just going to go there and steal it. This is something that you can't do. So you should be penalized. Maybe there is a way of penalizing avatar within the game. And maybe these rules can be designed by the community, by the governance. So we come back to the governance point. So expand on that, please, because it's very important.
Yes. Well, the governance starts in Sandbox with the fact that users will own 100% of the lands. Users will own 100% of the currency of the platform. We'll put in place something called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where users can vote on certain key decisions from us or submit their own topics and matters that they would like us to vote, that they would like the community to vote on. And as such, those decisions could relate to prioritization to the roadmap, changing some of the parameters of the virtual world, such as like transaction fees on the marketplace, such as how the foundation is supporting creators, how grants are being allocated, how lands, like we keep a certain number of lands for featuring and promoting events, content, maybe how those content on those lands can be curated or accessed as well. Those are things that in the future, like I'm really excited to see like how Sandbox will evolve, not just into 3 years, 5 years, but more like into 10, 15, 20 years, because that's the average lifetime now for MMORPGs. Second Life, RuneScape, World of Warcraft, they exist for such a long time, and they are very different now on the community, the political system in place into those games than how the original creators thought about and the original users played around. So that is something we'll see evolving for sure.
That's interesting, and perhaps we can be more mindful about the environment, about sustainability, which is something that maybe is a problem in the real world, but it would be interesting to see how it's going to be applied, how this concept is going to get applied to the virtual world. I think that will be really interesting. So tell me a little bit on what are you up to? You mentioned about the land sale, which I want you to go a little bit more into, and anything else that you're working on at the moment.
Well, working into many things for Sandbox, preparing the first public alpha release, which we hope will be enabling people to see and get a taste of socializing into Sandbox with an avatar into various social hub and participating in first play to earn reward season, something that we'll be launching over between the summer and the end of the year. Also, as a platform, we're really keen to grow the whole ecosystem around Sandbox. So supporting creators with our foundation, supporting artists, making sure that they can really be successful, find businesses and basically leverage the best what the platform has to offer to develop their activities, hire, create more jobs, and so on.
So just coming back to what will be the future of the metaverse. Do you think that the metaverse under development today will become the social networks of tomorrow?
Well, I definitely think it will. That there will be NFTs is the medium that carries its own distribution. Users can really leverage the metaverse and NFTs not just as a single content they produce once and sell once and it's done, but more like as a platform that they leverage to interact more closely to their community and keep offering value to the user, the community of buyers, people who are supporting the content creators. So definitely I recommend like people who start to own land, who start to make NFTs to really approach it with a long-term vision. What I'm going to do, how I'm going to support, to give value to people who buy and own my NFTs. And what does it mean to be close into the super creator economy, interacting with others in that sense. And we are seeing very great thing happening in the community. People are leveraging the asset, launching services, working together collaboratively, using NFTs to have a closer bond to the community of buyers. And myself, I'm very attached as a collector. And so I'm happy to find new artists, curate, discover, and then follow their work over time, for example. And I can't wait we have so many talented creators in Sandbox, like they show what they do, they are actively promoting and onboarding, streaming about what they do. So teaching others how to use Sandbox as well. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, it is a network effect. And the power of community is super important. So look forward to see what is going to happen in the near future and in the long future as well. So Sebastien, where people can find you and, where they can find the Sandbox, get more information and get into the metaverse.
Well, you can follow us on our different social media channels. So that include Discord, Twitter, Telegram. Starts with www.sandbox.game. Then check Linktree. So linktr.ee/sandbox. Also, where you have then all our social links. And from there, you can engage with the community, get a feel of what we're doing. You can download the Game Maker Vox Edit to try out Sandbox as it is now. So it's really important also to see like all we are talking about, it's already happening. You can use those tools. It's not some theoretical concept. And that's, I think, also really important to mention.
Okay. Sebastien, thank you so much. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, this was a great conversation with Sebastien, and I really hope that you learned something new today and I got you a bit more excited about the metaverse. I really am. So let's see what is going to happen next. In the meantime, if you're not subscribed to our channels, please click the subscribe buttons and follow us on social media. And if you have any question or any request or any comment, please do get in touch with me. Send me a DM or send us an email at Steffy@financialfox.news. I will see you next time.